I'm gonna start rolling in, baby. Listen here. You need to be prepared. All right.
Okay, I can't do it, the shiny dollar. Speak the deal, she $20. Cause with me right now, I'm up on the night out. Ooh, she went in my belt. From to back, I'm gonna look back, the niggas the back.
At this point, you should have already submitted your primaries and celebrated yourself for completing the first step of the medical school application cycle. And now it's time to get serious. What's up, y'all? It's your girl, Haley J. Welcome back to my channel. I am now doing a second part of my 3-part medical school application series, and I'm super excited to share everything that I went through, tips and tricks for secondaries. So stay tuned if you want to learn more. So once you've submitted your primaries, there is a little bit of a wait time. MCAS is trying to verify and approve your application to send off to medical schools. And that time, depending on when you submit it, could be really instant, or it could be longer. Usually the approval time, at least from what I've read and from what I've heard from other people, can take maybe a few days up to a few weeks, or maybe a month at a time. Usually the application opens at the first week of May or the first Friday of May, one of those things, but it's on the MCAS website. Once that day happens, the longer it takes for you to submit from that start date, the longer it will take for your application to get approved, just because there's thousands of other applicants trying to submit at the same time. And then also they have of course a set number of people who need to approve the application, so they can't just approve 10,000 applicants in 2 days. So the earlier you submit, the earlier you can get it approved and start receiving your secondaries. For me, I'm pretty sure I submitted a week, so it took me 7 days, and I was so mad because I wanted to submit like immediately, like the first day. It was like 5 or 7 days, I can't remember, but I submitted it kind of like a week late. And it wasn't until I think around July that I heard back about my application. However, once your application is approved, those secondaries are gonna start rolling in, baby. Listen here. You need to be prepared. All right. I'm no medical school application expert, but from what I've heard from other people and my own experience, I feel like 90% of the time you're gonna get secondaries from all the schools you've applied to. If you don't know, almost every step of the medical school application requires money. Sadly, it's a capitalist society and the medical system is not excluded from that. So secondaries do cost money. I feel like because you get almost a secondary from every single school, even if they don't want to take you, they're gonna send you an invite because they want your money. Some schools will vet you out even before you get to receive a secondary invitation, and I experienced that myself. So every school will not send you a secondary invitation. They will vet you out beforehand, and it could be for a plethora of things. Usually at that point, it's because of grades, GPA, MCAT score, like numbers wise, that's when they vet you. So me personally, I think it's nice that schools vet you out before sending a secondary invitation, because again, one, you don't have to spend your money on a school that knew they weren't gonna accept you. But also it's a disadvantage because I feel like secondaries are a way to see who you are more in depth, because they are essays that you answer personally from your heart, and they could see another side of you beyond what's on your primaries. But moving forward, so when you are in the approval stage and you're waiting for secondaries, they will send you an email. So if you haven't already, just been looking at your email, just make sure to check it literally every single day. I would check my email multiple times during the day, because I'll get secondary invitations in the morning, afternoon, evening, and they'll send you an email and they'll say, this is your secondary invitation, and it's really exciting. Most schools will have you go to their specific website and you have to make an account for that secondary. They'll give you like the login and password and everything like that for you to log into. And then usually that is where the questions will be. Once you receive your invitation to complete our secondary, again, they will start rolling in like it's crazy. Like I remember one time I got 3 in one day. 3, which is a blessing, but that's just a lot, just to think about and to handle at once. Once you've made your account, password and everything, and you've got into the actual questions, I feel like for the most part, every school asks pretty much the same questions. Of course, they may vary, off a couple of them that are specific to like that school. But for the most part, they ask pretty much the same questions. Every question has a character or word limit. Also, the amount of questions depends on the school. I've had some where they asked maybe like 4. I've had some where it was like 7, 8. Some are super simple for you to answer, and some may require you just to think a little bit, take some time, think about what you want to say, if you want to use the entire word count or character count limit. I don't think there's a right or wrong way to do your secondaries. I just think that as long as you think about the question, think about who you are as a person, your morals, integrity, what you want to do in life, what you want to do in the medical field, and of course apply everything I just said necessarily to those specific questions. No right or wrong way to do your secondaries, just as long as you speak from the heart, you have good grammar, good punctuation, clear to the admissions committee of what you're trying to say. Whatever you say is golden. Similar to your primaries, is a rule of thumb is like 1 to 2 week turnaround for your secondaries. So again, as soon as you can, submit those. I love this part of the secondary cycle just because it was a way for me to show the admissions committee who I am beyond my primaries, beyond my numbers and everything. And while you do have your personal statement in the primaries, I feel like my personal statement was crafted in a way that I wanted the admissions committee to see me. And not that I shouldn't portray myself in a way that's more palatable or digestible to other people, but secondaries just gave me more of a chance to answer different questions and see how I think from my point of view in different aspects. Who I want to be as a future physician, who I want to be to my future patient/population, who I am as a person beyond what I said in my personal statement. Of course, my personal statement was very personal, emotional, etc. But it just was a way for me to show who I am. And that's what I wanted to do the entire time. And that's what I was hoping I could do so that I could access that next step of the medical school application cycle, which was the interview. And that's when you really will get to, you know, see who I am and what I'm about. So yeah, I don't know. It was just great to show who I am beyond the static numbers. And just the adrenaline rush of everything coming in just made me happy. I don't know. And while this part of the cycle was my favorite part, it was overwhelming to say the least. And so I am going to share some tips and tricks about what I did that helped me and hopefully will help you in the next clip. So stay tuned. Tip number 1 is to have a reliable technology source for you to type on, because once those secondaries come in, you want to be able to log in, see the questions, type it out, think about what you want to say in those questions, and submit. If you are, you know, loaning a computer, you never know what will happen. Like the person may want their computer back, or if you're paying for a month to month, you can't pay for it for that specific month and something happens. Like, you don't want to be in a bind where you're getting X amount of secondaries at the same time and you can't submit for like a month at a time. So if you can have your own computer, or, you know, get one from somebody, an iPad with a keyboard, or if push comes to shove, if you have a phone, type that thing up on there, get Google Docs, good notes, whatever it is, and get to work. Tip number 2 is any free moment that you have, work on those secondaries. Whether it's before work, during, after. If you can write a paragraph or 2 at a time, or work on one question at a time, it's great because you can have some progress on completing one school while simultaneously within the next 2 days you could receive 1 or 2 more, and that's overwhelming. So if you're working on 1 or 2 questions each day and that secondary has about 6 questions, it may take you about 3 days to complete. Within those 3 days, you'll be able to get another school, and then you'll be done with that first school, and then you can work on a school that you just got. You know what I mean? So just consistently work on those secondaries at any free moment that you have. Tip number 3, and this is like my golden rule, is have someone to proofread your essays. We are pre-med majors, and if you are good in grammar, punctuation, making all your essays just flow super duper well, like keep it going, you're golden. But for me personally, in college I only took about 2 to 3 English classes, and outsourced to people who are familiar in that field. So what I did is I was actually talking to a friend of mine. I was like, yeah, I'm doing my secondary, and I was explaining to her what those were, and she was like, oh, well, I have a friend who is an English teacher. Let me see if she'll be able to help you. And she was. I did pay her for her services because I just wasn't gonna have somebody look over 12 schools with 6 questions each for free, and she's an English teacher. Like, girl, I was gonna pay you. So anytime I had a secondary come in, I would tell her, hey, I have a secondary, it has about X amount of questions, I'm gonna work on those. And I would tell her I'm gonna have them finished by Friday or something. And I usually did Fridays because it's the weekend, it's after classes, and she can look over them if she could. She usually had a 1 to 2 day turnaround, but if something happened, she would let me know. But I knew, in a sense, that I knew when I was gonna complete it. I also would prepare for things like that. So instead of finishing it on Friday, I would have it done on like, I would have it done in like 3 days or so. So she has some time to get it finished so that I know I can submit it at least within a week's time. Next tip is stay ready so you don't gotta get ready. Each school has about 3 to 6 questions, maybe more, maybe less, depending, that you need to answer. Like I said before, a lot of the questions are repeated. And like I said before, I am not legally able to tell you what questions they will ask you, but there is a way for you to find out what questions they'll ask you online. So if you go and research just medical school secondary questions, there are so many forums out there for you to go on and just kind of run through. I did that, and I didn't necessarily go and answer every single one, but the ones that I saw repeated amongst all the forums, I wrote those down, and I already drafted up what I wanted to say. So then when I had the girl go and proofread and that secondary question came up, I already had it ready. You know what I mean? So I also went over that with her, like, hey, these are the questions that I drafted up for, you know, whatever school that chooses to answer. So she already had those she already proofread those for me, and then once those questions came in, slid them in, one less question to do. So I just recommend going on a forum. Reddit is fantastic for this. If you go on TikTok, Instagram, like there's so many ways for you to see what secondary questions you're gonna get asked online. So I recommend doing your research, look those up, try to draft them up, have someone proofread those as soon as you can, so that when you get that question, you just got one less question to answer. Next tip, I think I'm on number 5 or something, I don't know, but it's to document everything. I had a Google Doc where I kept every single school and the secondary on it, not only for my editor because I shared it with her on Google Docs and she was able to do her edits, leave comments and stuff like that, but it was also a way for me to look at other schools and be like, oh, this school asked the same question as this school, that's proofread, let me copy paste for this next school that I just got. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Because also when you submit your secondaries to the schools, you're able to go back and I think copy and paste it, but that's just tedious. Like you don't want to log back into the secondary, and actually I'm not sure if every school even allow you to log back in. It may just say you submitted your secondary and you can't go back and look at what you said, but I know for some schools you are able to do so. However, to avoid all of that, have a Google Doc or something of the nature that you can access readily and copy paste whenever you get the same question twice. Another reason why I documented was because it was just another way for me to share what I did for y'all in the future and help out future pre-meds, of course, or any mentee that I have, you know, in the future, I can just share with them. And the last tip, tip number 6, is just to remember who you are. Remember your goals, aspirations, principles, dreams, all of that, and show these committees who you are as a person. It can be super stressful, like I said, trying to answer some of the questions because you want to make sure you're doing it, you know, to the T and perfect, but nothing is perfect. You just have to be who you are, do all the necessary steps, you know, prepare for the questions, get them proofread and submit. And hopefully who you are as a person will be shown to those committees and they will take it to the next step and offer you that interview. And they will offer you that interview, okay? Period. That's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, share with your friends, your pre-med friends, whoever it is, share it with them. And if you made it this far in the video, comment some brown hearts. I think that's just what I like to do. Comment some brown hearts for me. I know this whole entire process can be super stressful, and that's why I was so intentional on documenting everything at the time that I was doing it, so that I was able to share for other people and give the advice to you guys that I wish I had for myself. We all just got to share the information that we know, help each other out, because the system is rigged, especially for Black and brown folks, people of color, to not make it in the system. I want to make it my job to get y'all to where you want to be. For myself, if you haven't noticed, I did not make it this last cycle, and that's why I'm sharing with you guys what I learned. However, I'm taking everything that I've learned and I'm gonna do it again, and I'm gonna do it better than ever. So hopefully this is your first time applying. If it's your second, third time, whatever it is, hopefully what I said is helpful to you. It's inspiring. You can get that medical school acceptance. You got it. Yeah, like I said, if you enjoyed this video, please comment, show me some love. If you're applying right now, good luck. If you are gonna be applying next year, hopefully you're taking all necessary steps just to, you know, volunteer, shadow, whatever it is, or if you're thinking about applying, hopefully this video helps you in some way, shape, or form of making your decision about what you want to do for your life. And hopefully we can build a community to where we can help each other through this intricate process, share some wisdom, some insight, some help to everybody. So I love you guys so much. I'll see you guys in part 3. Bye. So with secondaries, if you don't know, it's what? That bird just flew. Is that a spider web? Oh, wait a minute. Where is this going to? Oh my God, ew. Oh, it's going to this? That's gross. No. I'm thoroughly disgusted. Like, and if the spider's right here, you're gonna die.